Welcome back, dear learners. Let us continue from our previous lecture. Having understood the structure, let us analyze the impact. Why are public sector enterprises so critical to India? First, they are the backbone of infrastructure development. Entities like the National Highway Authority of India (NHAI) have constructed thousands of kilometers of roads, laying the physical foundation for economic growth. Second is employment generation. They provide stable jobs to millions. For instance, Indian Railways alone employs over 1.2 million people. Third is regional development. By setting up plants in underdeveloped areas like SAIL, establishing steel plants in Bhilai and Rourkela, they foster local economies that private players might ignore. The importance of public sector enterprises extends further. They fulfill critical social objectives. The Food Corporation of India (FCI), for example, manages food security for the nation, distributing millions of tons of grains. They also drive research and development. The Indian Research Space Organization (ISRO) is a prime example of a public entity leading technological advancement, having launched hundreds of satellites. Furthermore, they facilitate the mobilization of resources. Organizations like the Power Finance Corporation raise immense capital to fund development projects, channeling money where it is most needed. Finally, public sector enterprises contribute to foreign exchange earnings. Companies like ONGC Videsh Limited operates globally, bringing in revenue from overseas oil and gas assets. Crucially, they act as a counterbalance to the private sector by maintaining a dominant presence in sector like life insurance where LIC holds a massive market share. They prevent private monopolies and ensure that essential services remain affordable and accessible to the general public. Despite their importance, the performance of public sector enterprises have been a subject of intense debate. Historically, they have faced significant challenges. Many suffered from insufficient growth in productivity due to bureaucratic management and lack of competition. For example, Indian Airlines struggled for years before merging with Air India. Poor project management led to massive cost overrun, such as the delays seen in the Sardar Sarovar Dam project. There was often inadequate attention to research and development, leading to technological obsolescence in companies like BSNL. Consequently, many public sector enterprises yield a low rate of return on investment. The overall return for central public sector enterprises has often seen significantly lower than private sector equivalents. Recognizing these failures, the government initiated major reforms, starting with the Industrial Policy of 1991. This policy marked a shift towards making public sector enterprises growth oriented and technologically dynamic. To address chronically sick units, the government referred them to the Board for Industrial and Financial Reconstruction for rehabilitation or closure. A major strategy was disinvestment. The government began selling stakes in public sector enterprises like the 5% disinvestment in BHEL in 1999 to raise funds and introduce market discipline. More recently, we have seen bold moves like the privatization of Air India in 2021. The goal is clear: to enhance efficiency, reduce the fiscal burden on the state, and allow these enterprises to compete effectively in a liberalized economy. To summarize this section, public sector enterprises are vital for infrastructure, employment, and social welfare in India. However, they have historically struggled with productivity, project management, and profitability. Post 1991 reforms have focused on restructuring, disinvestment, and privatization to revitalize this sector and ensure it contributes efficiently to the economy. Regulatory frameworks are also essential for economic balance. In 1969, India introduced the Monopolies and Restrictive Trade Practices Act (MRTP). But what was its purpose? The primary objective was the prevention of concentration of economic powers. The government wanted to ensure that wealth and control did not accumulate in the hands of a few business houses, which could stifle competition. To enforce this, the Act established the MRTP Commission, which had the power to investigate and even order the division of companies found guilty for creating monopolies. The Act specifically targeted three types of practices. First is monopolistic trade practices (MTP). This involves abusing a dominant market position, such as predatory pricing or limiting production to keep prices high. Second is restrictive trade practices (RTP). These are anti-competitive agreements between businesses, such as price fixing or bid rigging. Third is unfair trade practices (UTP). This covers deceptive conduct like false advertising or misleading consumers. It is important to note that MRTP Act was repealed and replaced by Competition Act in 2002, which established the Competition Commission of India (CCI). However, the core principles of preventing monopolies and ensuring fair play remain relevant today. Shifting our focus from the large public sector, let us look at the engine of economy, small and medium enterprises, SMEs. These enterprises are critical for emerging economies. One of their most significant contribution is providing more employment per unit of capital. Unlike large industries that are capital intensive, requiring lots of money and machines, small and medium enterprises are labor intensive. They create more jobs for every rupee invested. This makes them a powerful tool for poverty alleviation in India. The MSME sector employs over 110 million people, highlighting its massive impact. Small and medium enterprises also ensure a more equitable distribution of wealth. They allow individuals from diverse backgrounds to become entrepreneurs, preventing wealth from concentrating in a few large corporate houses. Profits generated are often reinvested locally, fostering inclusive growth. Furthermore, they aid in the regional dispersal of industries. Large factories need massive infrastructure and are often clustered in cities. Small and medium enterprises can be set up in remote or semi-urban areas using local resources. This reduces overcrowding in cities and promotes balanced development across the country, as seen in industrial clusters like Tirupur for textiles or Muradabad for brass wares. Recognizing the value of small scale industries, the Indian government has consistently allocated resources through 5-year plans. During the first and second plans, 1951 to 1961, the focus was on village and cottage industries to boost rural employment. Institutions like the Khadi and Village Industries Commission were established. From the third to fifth plans, 1961 to 1979, the focus broadened to the small scale industries sector as a whole. The Small Industries Development Organization was set up to coordinate training and infrastructure support. As the economy evolved, so did the support for small scale industries. In the sixth and seventh plans, 1980 to 1990, the government introduced easier credit access and specialized financial institutions like the Small Industries Development Bank of India, SIDBI. During the eighth and ninth plans, 1992 to 2002, amidst liberalization, the focus shifted to competitiveness. Product reservations were removed to encourage efficiency. Finally, in the 10th and 11th plans, 2002 to 2012, the emphasis moved to technology and innovation. A landmark movement was the enactment of the MSME Development Act in 2006, which provided a comprehensive legal framework for the sector supported by credit guarantee schemes and cluster development programs. To conclude, we have navigated the complex terrain of India's industrial organization. We have seen that public sector enterprises, despite their performance challenges, remain indispensable for infrastructure and social welfare. Simultaneously, small and medium enterprises act as the grassroots engine for employment and equitable wealth distribution. The government's role, evolving from direct control to regulation and facilitation through policies like the 1991 reforms and the MSME Act, demonstrate a continuous effort to balance these two factors or sectors for holistic economic development. Understanding this dual structure is key to analyzing the trajectory for the Indian economy. Thank you, dear learners, for your attention. Keep learning.